Greetings, it is MaxoDiddly here, and today I am here with another Java tutorial to you get an A in your coursework or exam. And today we're here with adding a column to a CSV, text file, or any other text-based file in Java. So let's get right into what we actually are going to do. So, in our project folder, we have got a text file called data.txt. So let's open it up and see what's inside. And we've got a few records, an ID, a name and an age. And we've got 3 people in here. And we want to actually add new data for each person in this little database we have. We want to add each person's favourite Genshin Impact character. And you might think, oh, we could add it in manually, or we could use code to do so. So, in a follow-up to my read a column from a CSV or text file in Java, we're going to do adding a column to a CSV or text file in Java. So let's get right into it. Firstly, we've got a string array, and this is going to contain the data for our new column. And we're going to have one element for each record in our database. So someone's favourite characters Bennett, Amber, and then Mona. Make sure you have one for each record in your database or text file or CSV file or whatever, because otherwise you're going to have some issues further down the line where some people don't have data for a particular field and that might be messy. Then we're going to call our method add column, and we're going to pass in new data col, obviously, that's our string array. The file path, which is going to be data.txt. The delimiter, what's used to separate fields in a record, which is comma in this case. You can customize it if you want to. And one is going to be where do we want this new column to go. So if we go back to our file, what we're allowing you to do basically with this code is, hey, you can insert this new column wherever you like. So let's say we pass in a 0, then it's going to come before the ID. If we pass in a 1, it's going to come after the ID but before the name. If we pass in a 2, it's going to come after the name but before the age. If we pass in a 3, it's going to come after the age. That's kind of what's going on here. So let's get right into implementing it. So, public static void, add column. String array, new col. This is going to be the new column of data we want to add. String file path. Where do we want to add this column? String delimiter. What separates each field of a record? And int col pos. Where do we want to put the column? Simple stuff. So the first thing we want to do is we want to do a try catch statement. Try a bunch of code. If something goes wrong, execute what's in the catch statement, then carry on. If no error occurs in the try statement, ignore what's in the catch and carry on. Nice simple stuff. Also, before we continue, be sure to import the following libraries that are shown here. Or if you're lazy, at the end of copying all the code, right click and click on Fix Imports to automatically import them all. So, firstly, in our try statement, we actually want to do a few things. We're going to firstly do list string data equals files.readAllLines, paths.get, and then we put in file path. So what's going on here? Well, basically, we're going to create a string list. Think of this as a more advanced array where we can do a lot more with it. And what we're doing is each line of our text file, CSV file, whatever, is going to have its own element in this string list. And paths.get essentially just converts our string file path into a file path so the code can then read it. After that, we're actually going to do printWriter pw equals new printWriter file path. And that's all we're going to do for that. And you might be thinking, Max, what are you on about? Are you crazy? Why are you making a printWriter and not using it? Well, firstly, we do actually technically use it further on in the code, but we reassign it. And what we're basically doing is, by just creating this printWriter, we are erasing the contents of our text file, our CSV file, whatever. Because basically what we're going to do is, we're going to read the entire file, then we're going to wipe it. After, we're going to rewrite each record of the file, but as we write each record, we're going to add in the new column. So if we go back to our little text file, what we're essentially going to do is, hypothetically, we're going to work with the same data we have before of Bennett, Amber, and Mona. And let's say we want to put it in the first column, or which is technically the second column, if you're talking in English, but first if you're talking in array terminology. So what we're going to do is, when we rewrite the file, we would go 0101 Bennett Jeff 69, 1234 Amber Person 123, 4567 Mona Yellow 23. That's what we're basically doing. And then after this, what we're going to do is we're going to do file writer fw equals new file writer file path and true. We're creating a file writer here that adds to a file, not overwrites a file. Then we take our print writer object and then we reassign it to a new print writer and we pass in file writer. And now we've got our object that can write to the file set up. Now create a for loop. We're going to do for int I equals 0, I less than data.size and I++. We're just going to loop through the entire string list we created, and to get the length of a list, you do .size. Now, inside we're going to have quite a bit of code, but don't worry, we're going to dissect this and make this very simple and understandable. And if you follow my other tutorials, a lot of this is going to be stuff you already know about. Firstly, string array line equals data.getI.split delimiter. What's going on here? We're creating a string array in this iteration of the for loop. So each iteration, we're creating a new string array. And then we're going to do data.getI, which is literally just getting a certain element of our string list. So we're just reading a record from our list. And then we do .split delimiter. We assign each field of our record its own array element, and we can do so by calling the .split function. And this tells the code, right, the ID needs to go in one element, the name goes in another, and the age goes in its own. And the code knows where to split them up because of our delimiter, which in this case is a comma. After that, we're going to do list string record. So we're creating a string list here. And we're going to set it to equal a new array list, a new string array list. And then we're going to put in here arrays.asList line. So quite a bit's going on here. But essentially we're converting that string array into a string list. And the reason why I want to do a string list is there's more functionality with lists, and therefore it's a lot easier to inject another field into any position we want. Because if we were going to use a string array, we'd have to do some loops and some string builder stuff, most likely. But there's literally a function we can call for lists to just inject data wherever we want. So we're going to do this instead. After that, we're going to do record.add, col pos, and new col I. So what's going on here? Well, firstly, records.add allows us to add an element to our list at a desired position. See why we're using a string list here as opposed to a string array? And essentially, it does what I talked about before when we wanted to inject a field into a desired point in our text file. Literally, we can just add in, at a desired position in our list, whatever data we want. In this case, it's going to be new col I, which is going to be the appropriate field in our new column that we're adding. I hope that makes sense, but we're just injecting the data where we want to put it. After that, we're going to do printliter.println, string.join, delimiter, and record. So we're passing in our delimiter, which is going to be a comma in our example, and then we're going to pass in record, which is our string list here. And what we're essentially doing is, we're going to take every element of our string list, and we're going to join them together. But between each field, we're going to add a comma. So we're essentially undoing the conversion we made before, where we're literally taking a string with commas to separate each field and putting that into a string array. And then we're essentially doing that, but we're doing the opposite. So we can easily just print it to the file. After the for loop, we're going to do pw.close. This is very important, as if you don't include this, your file's going to look a bit empty. So it's essential we close the print writer stream that's occurring. And then we do system.out.println, column added, just to let the user know the column was added. Inside the catch, just put system.out.println e, just to print out the exception to help us debug code if something goes wrong. And that's basically it for the tutorial, so let's try it out. Firstly, make sure you save your code. Now we're going to look at our data text file just to show you what it is so we can do a comparison. And what we're going to do is we are going to add Bennett, Amber and Mona. So Bennett for the first one, Amber for the second one, and Mona for the final one. And it's going to go between the ID and the name. So let's close it. Hit save and hit play. It says column added. That's pretty good. But we need to check the actual file. Oh look, it added them where we wanted them to go. That's pretty cool. Right, so now that it works, we're going to actually add the same data again, but we're going to add it to a different place in the file. We're going to add it between the name and the age. So in this case, we've got 0 field, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to add it to the third field, which is technically the fourth field, but in array talk, it's the third field. So we're going to put in a 3 and hit play. It says column added. Let's check our data. As you can see, it added it between the name and the age. So guys, that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for being a great audience. Be sure to leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more Java file handling tutorials. We will be doing editing and deleting columns in the near future. So thanks for being a great audience. I'll see you next time.